Prime perimeter. Reflect on the last meeting you were in. How authentic was the conversation? Did people take risks? Did people say things that were uncomfortable? Or was it just kind of one of those usual meetings? Here's the deal when groups get together. There's a usual way they talk. And they build a fence that separates what they'll usually say in a meeting from what they would never say publicly in a meeting. It's called a functionally autonomous norm in psychology. Here at the clearing, we call it the fence. And it's built. It's invisible, but it's legal. The interesting thing about it is, there's an available conversation that is waiting to happen. It's more significant, it's more relevant, it's more powerful, it's more fun. This is not happening. And the way it does happen is when one of you, perhaps after watching this video, in your next meeting, you have what we call a red dot moment. You say, hang on, hold on. Well, this is the way we always do this. This is the way we always talk. Let me tell you the way it really is. That's a red dot moment. You're taking a risk. You're afraid that somebody might do something negative to you as a result of this or gossip about you, but it's worth it to you. It's worth it for you to say this. Now, when you do that, you pull the fence out for everybody. Here's the interesting thing. Perhaps your company, perhaps your team, perhaps what you're up to is really extraordinary. Extraordinary. You're in the middle of something big and complicated and significant and worthwhile. You're not going to achieve that with the usual conversation. It's going to require an extraordinary conversation. The extraordinary conversation requires more courage. It requires red dot moments that are powerful, very powerful. So what teams are up to right now who are standing for extraordinary outcomes is having extraordinary conversations. And if you're the leader of these teams, if you're leading these teams, it's very important that you understand, because of your reputation, because of things you have done in the past, when you walk in that room, you're creating that fence at some level. Some leaders create massive openings for people to speak. Some make the space basically ahead of a pin. And the sad part is the people who make it ahead of a pin, they're losing all the insights that are in the people they're working with. They're losing all these red dot moments. So here's the hack. Later today, this week, when you're in a meeting, and it's something significant, and you're sitting there, ask yourself, what is the most powerful thing that I could say that would add the most value to this moment, to this team, regardless of how I feel about saying it? And when you start saying, I got a red dot moment here, time out. This is how we always talk about this. What if we look at it this way? Or what if we said the cause of our problem is this instead of that? It's a red dot moment. Perimeter prime. Stretch the conversation as far as possible, and you be the person to stretch it first, and you'll create the opening for everyone else.